नमस्कार, मैं आनंद कुमार खत्री। आज के हमारे लेक्चर का विषय है क्लाइमेट पार्ट फिफ्थ। मानसून particularly strong seasonal pressure variation occurs over continents as shown in the January and July maps of sea level atmospheric pressure. Such seasonal fluctuations, commonly called monsoon, are more pronounced over land surfaces because these surfaces are subject to more significant seasonal temperature variations than are water bodies. Since land surfaces both warm and cool then faster than water bodies, then often quickly modify the temperature and density characteristics of air parcels passing over them. This is the picture showing monsoon blow for approximately 6 months from the northeast and 6 months from the southwest, principally in South Asia and parts of Africa. However, similar conditions also occur in Central America and the area between Southeast Asia and Australia. Summer monsoons have a dominant westerly components and a strong tendency to converge, rise, and produce rain. Winter monsoons have a dominant easterly components and a strong tendency to diverge, subside, and cause drought. Both are the results of differences in annual temperature trends over land and sea. Diurnal variability. Land masses in regions affected by monsoons warm up very rapidly in the afternoon hours, especially on day with cloud free condition. Surface air temperature between 35 and 40 degrees centigrade and are not uncommon. Under such conditions, warm air is slowly and continually steeped in the moist and cloudy environment of the monsoon. Consequently, over the course of a 24-hour period, energy from this pronounced diurnal or daily changes in terrestrial heating is transferred to the cloud, rain, and diurnal circulation system. Intra-annual variability. Monsoon rainfall and dry spells alternate on several time scales. One such well-known time scale is found around periods of 40, 50, or 30, 60 days. This is called the modern Julian oscillation MJO, named for American atmospheric scientists Ronald Malden and Paul Julian in 1971. This phenomena comes in the form of alternating cyclonic and anticyclonic regions that enhance and suppress rainfall, respectively, and flow eastward along the equator in the Indian and Pacific Ocean. Interannual variability. The variability of monsoons driven for rainfall in the Indian Ocean and Australian appear to parallel El Nino episodes during El Nino events, which occurs about every 2 to 7 years. Ocean temperatures rises over the central equatorial Pacific Ocean by about 3 degrees centigrade. A typical conditions characterized by the increased rising air motion, convection, and are created in the western equatorial Pacific. At the same time, a compensating lobe of descending air producing below normal rainfall appears in the vicinity of eastern Australia, Malaysia, and India. This is the graph showing the El Nino southern oscillations. Many other factors, sites from the equatorial Pacific Ocean surface temperatures contribute the interannual variability of monsoon's rainfall. Excessive spring snow and ice cover on the plateau of Tibet is related to the deficit monsoon's rainfall that occurs during the following summer season in the India. This is the graph of monsoon rainfall in India. Upper level winds. Characteristics The flow of air around the globe is greatest in the higher altitude or upper level. Upper level airflow occurs in wave-like currents that may exist for several days before dissipating. Upper level winds speeds generally occur on the order of tens of meters per second and vary with height. This is the Rossby wave patterns over the North Pole. Upper level wind systems, like all wind systems, may be thought of as having parts consisting of uniform flow, rotational flow with cyclonic or anticyclonic curvature, convergent or divergent flow, in which the horizontal area of masses of air shrinks or expands, and deformations, by which the horizontal area of air masses remains constant while experiencing a change in the shape. Upper level wind system in the mid latitude tend to have a strong components of uniform flow from west to east. Through this flow may change during the summer. In addition, short waves progresses in the some same direction as the mean airflow, which is from west to east in the mid latitude. Long waves retrogress. Although the undulating currents of air is composed of a number of waves of varying wavelength, the dominant wavelength is usually around several thousand kilometers. Near and underneath the troposphere, regions of divergence are found over region of general gently rising air at the surface, while regions of convergence aloft are found over regions of shrinking air below. The characteristics of upper level wind systems are known mainly from an operational worldwide network of rain side observation. The winds of upper level where surface frictions does not occur tend to be approximately geostrophic. In other words, there is a near balance between the pressure gradient force, which directs air from areas of relatively high pressure to areas of relatively low pressure, and the Coriolis force, which deflects air from its straight line path to the right in the northern hemisphere and to the left in the southern hemisphere. An important consequences of this geostrophic balance is that the winds blow parallel to isobars, and according to Biot-Savart law, lower pressures will be found to the left of the direction of the wind in the northern hemisphere and to the right of the wind in the southern hemisphere. The vertical variation of the structure of the waves depends upon the temperature pattern. In general, because of net difference in incoming shorter wavelength solar radiation and outgoing longer wavelength infrared radiations between the polar and the equatorial region, there is a horizontal temperature gradient in the troposphere at both the surface and upper level. The troposphere is warmest at low latitude and coldest at high latitude. The atmosphere is mainly in hydrostatic balance or equilibrium between the upward directed pressure gradient force and the downward directed force of gravity. Propagation and development of waves. Upper level waves in the Australis in mid latitude usually move from west to east in part as a result of advection and in part as a result of propagation, which acts as in the opposite direction towards the west. This is the Rossby showed that a good approximation by this equation, where c is the phase speeds of the wave and u is the speed from west to east of the components of upper level wind due to uniform flow, and beta is the meridional or north south gradient of the Coriolis parameter. Relationship to surface features. Rossby waves propagating through the upper and middle troposphere causes disturbance to form at the surface. According to quasi-geotropic theory, where there is a wave train embedded within a zone of pole to equator temperature gradient, air rises east to upper level troughs and sinks west to upper level troughs, and these vertical air motions are required to maintain the approximate geostrophic and hydrostatic balance, which are necessary for quasi geostrophic equilibrium. This is the vertical cross sections through a wave system. Jet stream, the upper level wind flow described above, is frequently concentrated into relatively narrow bands called jet streams or jets. The jet, whose wind speed are usually in excess of 30 meters per second, about 70 miles per hour, but can be as high as 107 meter per second, act to steer upper level waves. Jet streams are of great importance to air level travel because they affect the ground speed, the velocity relative to the ground of aircraft. Since strong upper level flow is usually associated with strong vertical wind shear, jet stream in mid latitudes are accompanied by strong horizontal temperature gradient as required by the thermal wind relation. Winds in the stratospheres and mesospheres. The winds in the stratospheres and mesospheres are usually estimated from temperatures data collected by satellites. The winds of at these high levels are assumed to be geostrophic. Overall, in the mid latitudes, they have a westerly components in the winter and an easterly components in the summer. The highest zonal winds are around 60-70 meters per second above Earth's surface. This is the meridional cross sections of the atmosphere at to a height of 60 kilometers in a summer and winter hemisphere. Climate and the ocean. The atmosphere and the oceans are intimately related. They affect one another primarily through the transfer of heat and moisture. Heat energy moves from the ocean to the atmosphere through the processes of direct heat transfer and evaporation, and energy from the atmosphere flows to the ocean in the form of precipitations. Many ocean currents are driven by surface level winds. They move warm water from the tropics to the pole and cold water from the poles towards the tropics. Warm water play a substantial role in the development of tropical cyclones and extratropical cyclones, and warm and cold ocean currents alike strongly influence the dominant climate patterns of coastal areas. This is the Hurricane Isabel in the Atlantic Ocean. The ocean surface and climate anomalies. Observational studies to investigate the relationship between anomalies in ocean surface temperature and the tropospheric circulations have been undertaken primarily in the Pacific and Atlantic. They have identified primarily large scale ocean surface temperature anomalies that have similar spatial scales to monthly and seasonal anomalies and atmospheric circulation. The longevity of the ocean surface temperature anomalies as compared with the shorter dynamical and thermodynamical memory of the atmosphere has suggested that they may be an important predictor and for seasonal and interannual climate anomalies. The response of the atmosphere to mid-latitude ocean surface anomalies have been difficult to detect ambiguously because of the complexity of the turbulent westerly flow between 20° and 60° latitude in the both hemispheres. This flow has many properties of nonlinear chaotic systems and thus exhibits behaviors that is difficult to predict beyond a couple of weeks. Formation of tropical cyclones. Tropical cyclones represent still another examples of air sea interaction. These strong systems are known as hurricanes in the North Atlantic and Eastern North Pacific and as typhoons in the Western North Pacific. The winds of such systems revolve around a center of low pressure in an counterclockwise direction in the north hemisphere and in a clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. The wind attains velocity in excess of 115 km per hour and 65 knot in the most cases. Tropical cyclones may last from a few hours to as long as 2 weeks, as the average lifetime being 6 days. The conditions associated with cyclone formation. The formation of tropical cyclone is strongly influenced by the temperature of the underlying ocean, or more specifically by the thermal energy available in the upper 60 meters of the ocean water. Typically, the underlying ocean should have a temperature in excess of 26 degrees centigrade in this layer. This temperature required, however, is only one of 5 that need to be met for a tropical cyclone to form and develop. Effects of tropical cyclones on ocean water. A tropical cyclone can affect the thermal structures and currents on the surface layer of the ocean water in its path. Cooling of the surface layer occurs in the wake of such a storm. Maximum cooling occurs on the right of a hurricane path in the northern hemisphere. In the wake of the hurricanes Helida's passage through the Gulf of Mexico in 1964 at a translational speed of only 5 knot, the surface water were cooled by as much as 6 degrees centigrade. Tropical cyclones that have higher transitional velocities causes less cooling of the surface. The surface cooling is caused primarily by wind-induced upwelling of cooler water from below the surface layer. Influence on atmospheric circulation and rainfall. Tropical cyclones play an important role in the general circulation of the atmosphere, accounting for 2% of the global annual rainfall and between 4 and 5% of the global rainfall in August and September at the highest and at the height of the northern hemisphere cyclone season. For a local area, the occurrence of a single tropical cyclone can have a major impact on the annual rainfall. Furthermore, tropical cyclones contribute approximately 2% of the kinetic energy of the general circulation of the atmosphere, some of which is exported from the tropics to higher latitude. Poleward transfer of heat. Thermohaline circulation, a significant characteristic of the large scale North Atlantic circulation, is the poleward transport of heat. Heat is transferred in a northward direction throughout the North Atlantic. This heat is absorbed by the tropical waters of the Pacific and Indian Ocean as well as the Atlantic, and is then transferred to the high latitude where it is finally given up to the atmosphere. The Gulf Stream, the major current system, is a western boundary current that flows poleward along a boundary separated the warm and more saline water of the Sargasso Sea to the east from the colder, slightly fresher continental slopes waters of to the north and west. The warm saline Sargasso Sea, composed of water masses known as North Atlantic Central Water, has a temperature that ranges from 8 to 19 and a salinity between 35.10 and 36.70 parts per thousand ppt. This is one of the two dominant water masses of the North Atlantic Ocean. The other is the North Atlantic deep water, which has a temperature of 2.2 to 3.5 degrees centigrade and a salinity between 34.90 and 34.97 ppt, and which occupies the deepest layer of the ocean, generally below 1,000 meter. This is the major warm and cold currents of the North Atlantic Ocean. Thanks.